everybody. Welcome into another edition of Talking Fitchburg on this Thursday, September 10th, 2020. Jeremy Crosby here, Andrew Bamlett at home. I'm in the office today, and get some paperwork in and had some shoots going on today. Very excited. We're going to be showing you down the road a tour of a brand new school. I'll leave you in suspense. That's all I'm saying. But that's not today's show. Today's show, we're actually going to be talking about biking as it is Cycle September. And you're like, wait, isn't Bike Month like May or something? Well, we'll break it all down for you. We've got one of the folks from Bike Fitchburg, Steve Arnold. You'll recognize him, former mayor, and more. We'll be talking with him 2 segments today about Cycle Month and about some of the events happening during Cycle September. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that. A full show ready for you. So I got to get into the headlines. We start with the U.S. Census Bureau. Right now, it currently stands will be ending all efforts, counting efforts for the 2020 census on September 30th, 1 month sooner than previously announced. Census chugs along even during the pandemic. If you have not completed your 2020 census, don't delay. You have different ways of doing this. And if you haven't already gone on and filled it online, you can do that. You can use the hard copy that you got in the mail, or you can call the Fitchburg Senior Center and they'll help you, 270-4290. And the social worker will get you all set up so you can get that taken care of. All right, from the Fitchburg Police Department, a death investigation taking place yesterday on September 9th at 4:03 p.m. Officers from the Fitchburg Police Department were sent to Hatchery Hill Park, located at 3035 Cahill, Maine, for an adult male who was not breathing and did not have a pulse. The preliminary investigation indicates the male had likely been deceased for some time before being located by a passerby. The incident remains under investigation by the Fitchburg Police Department and Dane County Medical Examiner's Office. There is not believed to be any danger to the public. No further information is available at this time. All right, the Office of Children's Mental Health focuses on preventing suicide. Some great information here being shared, and I wanted to go through some of these slides that they have. We've actually posted this up on our media channel as well. Highlighting the importance of talking about this great information. And it says here, the highlights include approximately 1 in 13 high school students attempt suicide more than once. 45% of adolescents who died by suicide used a parent's gun. American Indian youth in Wisconsin commit suicide at a higher rate than white Wisconsin youth. The overall suicide rate for Wisconsin youth is higher than the normal average. Parents can follow advice from the American Academy of Pediatrics that says the safest home for a child is one without guns. Schools can foster connections and protective environments by implementing peer support groups like a Hope Squad or a Source of Strength. Policymakers can also support stronger infrastructure to prevent suicide as well. Over $17 million in 2010 for youth aged 0 to 26 who died by suicide. These are just phenomenal numbers. Crazy information there. Information can raise awareness about suicide during September Suicide Prevention Month and share available resources here as we are looking at here. So the stuff that Andrew has up on the screen are some of the areas of who has committed suicide and the areas that they're focusing on for preventing suicide. Great time to talk about this. No, it's not an easy subject to talk about, but the resources are out there, and just bringing light to this story, I think, is super important. So if you haven't already, take the time to check this out. Of course, we always share the links to what's going on here for our headlines when it comes to Talking Fitchburg. So if you haven't looked at that before, we have those available when we post up these stories. All right, moving on here, donating for wildlife relief for West Coast states. BBB wants to warn you to make sure that you do not get scammed and make sure that you do your due diligence before you send out any money. Give the established charities with the experience in handling disaster situations, will be more likely to be able to provide assistance quickly and effectively. Be cautious of new organizations that may promise to help out without any connection, budget, or plans. Volunteer and gifts in kind. If you live near impact areas, or one giving alternative might be to provide housing for those folks who need your help, or donate non-perishable food items to help feed those battling the blaze. Now, we don't have any of that here in the state of Wisconsin, but maybe you have, I don't know if you have property out west, something you could certainly check into. Be wary of vague appeals. Watch out for vague appeals that don't describe the intended use of the funds. For example, that will be used to help displaced families cover temporary housing, rebuild communities, or help address other needs. Also, unless told otherwise, donors assume that funds collected quickly in the wake of a disaster will be spent as quickly. Not always the case. Crowdfunding caution as well for crowdfunding postings. It's always safe to contribute to people and or families that you personally know and that have been posted for pleas for help. These tips are all online. Again, Andrew will share up those links to all the stories we talked about here on Talking Fitchburg. All right, we're taking a quick break. Coming up next, we open up two segments talking about Cycle September. I keep wanting to say Bike September, but it's Cycle September. We'll break it all down for you next right here on Talking Fitchburg.
Gaining weight was easy. All I had to do was sit down and eat. Losing weight's a lot harder. I have to work at it every day. But with every step, I lower my risk for type 2 diabetes and heart disease. And that makes every step, every choice, every day very much worth the effort.
Learn how you can help stop diabetes by losing weight, eating healthy, and staying active. Visit checkupamerica.org or call 1-800-DIABETES.
Behind every 2020 census taker's mask is a friendly neighbor. They're teachers, retirees, vets, people committed to doing right by getting the count right. If you haven't responded yet, they'll be stopping by to ask some simple questions that will inform how billions in federal funds are spent on local services every year for the next decade. So when they come knocking, say hi from a safe distance and do your part to support your community. Time is running out. Shape your future. Start here at 2020census.gov.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me today from Bike Fitchburg and former alder, mayor, and probably a whole slew of other hats that this man's worn. It's Steve Arnold. Steve, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. How you doing?
Very good. My pleasure, Jeremy.
Glad to have you back on the show, Steve. And kind of a unique situation, although we've been living in a unique situation since the pandemic started. We're today going to be talking about Cycle September. And some people are going to be like, well, doesn't Bike Month already have happened or normally has happened? Are we really late here? What's going on? Steve, tell us what happened and why are we in Cycle September?
Well, first of all, because of the pandemic, so many things have been depressed by the pandemic, like football and school and things like that. But cycling has really surged because it's one of the few things that you can do safely. But we did, we haven't been able to have our great events like Bacon on the Bike Path and so on. A lot of rides have been made virtual on your own, anywhere you want to go to avoid group things. But so the traditional Bike Month was still celebrated in the Madison area in May, but the national celebration, including Bike to Work Week and International Bike to Work Day, have been moved to this month. And the advocacy groups and our partners, the City of Madison, the City of Fitchburg, Sarah Cycling Group, and so on, have declared September to be Cycle September, and we're using it for a workplace challenge. So you recall that we have the national, what is it called now? The National Bike Challenge that goes through the warm months each year. And they are helping us through their Love to Ride platform run the workplace competition we call Cycle September. So workplaces of all size can sign up, and it's an opportunity for employers to encourage their employees to get out and get some healthy exercise when they're not cooped up at home working on Zoom and working in their home offices. And so that's what Cycle September is about. And Bike Fitchburg and Madison Bikes and Sun Prairie Moves and our municipal and nonprofit and industry partners are all working together to promote it.
Yeah, it's a very fun time. Anytime we have Bike Month or now Cycle September. And for folks who are not familiar, Steve, with Bike Fitchburg, the organization, tell us a little bit about Bike Fitchburg, and then we'll jump back into talking about some great events coming up.
Well, Bike Fitchburg is a nonprofit that's been around for about 4 years. We are the local bicycle advocacy group. So we work to make bicycling easier, that is more accessible to everyone, safer and more fun in Fitchburg. And that involves work not only on infrastructure like the new bridge over McKee Road, but also things like running encouraging events like Cycle September, working on education programs and partnering with our schools and Fitchburg Rec for teaching people to ride in traffic, ride safely, teach kids to ride, teach adults to ride for the first time. Working on policies like traffic enforcement laws, working with our police department to make people safe, all users safer on the roads. And working on planning so that there's, we build new neighborhoods that have good bicycling facilities and that we evaluate and measure how we're doing so that we know we're improving and we know we're doing the right things. So our partners are generally the Chamber of Commerce and the city of Fitchburg. Together we have a partnership called Wisconsin Active Together for now 2 years. And then we also partner with the corresponding state and national organizations. The state organization is the Wisconsin Bike Fed, and the national organization is the League of American Bicyclists. And so while the League lobbies Congress and the national administration, and the Fed works with our governor's administration and the legislature, we work with the city council, the mayor, and the city staff and the local business community for things that are important right here in Fitchburg.
Yeah, and Steve, for people who aren't familiar, I mean, we are sitting on a pot of gold here when it comes to the bike infrastructure that has been laid out in this city, and the forethought into bike trails and safe riding. If people weren't familiar with it being in this city, how would you describe Fitchburg compared to other cities? Maybe not Madison. We know Madison's very bike friendly, but we're really, like I said, we're really on the top notch here when it comes to biking.
Yeah, for a city of 30,000, we are very, very lucky. There are 3 main aspects of why Fitchburg is so bicycle friendly. Number 1 is that because of the nexus of railroad lines built in Dane County, and then some of these have been converted to trails, we are at the hub of the statewide regional rail trail and bike trail system with the Capital City State Trail, the Badger State Trail, the Military Ridge State Trail, and the Cannonball Path and Southwest Trails going into Madison, all meeting up in Fitchburg. Our unique position as a former town and being 1/3 developed, but 2/3 rural and natural areas, provides wonderful scenery for going through. And third, we're very lucky that the business community and the chamber in particular has claimed bicycle friendliness as part of Fitchburg's identity and has undertaken to promote it for all the economic and health benefits. So we're very lucky. The fact that we are hard up against and well connected by bicycle facilities to one of the only 5 platinum bicycle friendly communities in the country, Madison, is also a huge asset. But many Madisonians come to Fitchburg to ride. So while Madison has terrific transportation and transportation bicycling facilities, a bike share system, many marvelous urban destinations for riding on trails and quiet country roads, you can't beat Fitchburg.
You're darn right you can't beat it, Steve. And we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back here, Steve, and we'll talk about upcoming events here as we celebrate the Cycle September. I've got Steve Arnold here from Bike Fitchburg. We'll be right back and continue our conversation.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides at aarp.org/caregiving.
¡Sam, Elmo!
Hola, Julia. ¿Estás lista para tocar con nosotros? Yo tocaré mi clarinete.
Y Elmo tocará su tambor. ¡Tambor ruidoso!
Bueno, ya sabes qué hacer, Julia.
Julia sabe.
Dado el autismo de Julia, los sonidos pueden ser muy fuertes.
Y hace música a su manera. ¡A tocar!
La detección temprana del autismo puede hacer una diferencia de por vida. Conoce más sobre la detección temprana en detecciondeautismo.org.
Welcome back. Oops, let's try that again. Not the normal one. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Talking Fitchburg. Continuing my conversation here with Steve Arnold from Bike Fitchburg. You may recognize him as former mayor of Fitchburg, alder, or I don't know, extraordinaire, we'll just say. He's done a little bit of everything. And Steve, thank you again for taking the time. A lot of events happening in Cycle September. We're going to go over a couple of them. We'll share where you can find more events, but where do you want to take us first on this month of adventure?
Well, first of all, we would want to point your viewers to the madisonbikes.org. At the top of the homepage, you'll find a link to the calendar, which will provide details for a number of these events. The ones I'll highlight, Bicycle Benefits is a program for businesses where you buy a sticker for your helmet for $5, and then you can get that from any of the participating merchants. And then you go to a merchant on your bike, show them your helmet and your sticker, and you'll get a discount. You might get an upgrade for a size on your coffee drink, or you could get a % off of your purchase at a bike store. There is Bicycle Benefits Blitz on to introduce people to the program and introduce new merchants. And it's principally in Madison, but we're trying to recruit more merchants in Fitchburg. So that will be a fun thing, and that is happening all month. Another important event that's going on benefits Free Bikes for Kids. Free Bikes for Kids is a nonprofit. The Madison-based group has been in existence for about 4 or 5 years, and they collect used bike donations. They use volunteer labor and donations of money and bike parts to get these bikes working and into tip-top condition. And then they work with social service agencies like the Boys and Girls Club, the YMCA, the Goodman Community Center, to find kids who can't afford bikes but deserve bikes. They need the bikes. And in many cases, if there's a parent that is there too, that needs a bike to be able to supervise the kid, a parent can get a bike as well. They, at the beginning of the pandemic last spring, they changed their direction and gave bikes to first responders, like health workers, grocery workers, and so on, who needed to get to work, who might not have their own vehicle, motor vehicle, and transit was a sketchy thing to use during those times before Metro had everything worked out. So they're a great organization, and this is the time of year in the fall where they collect bikes. And then during the off season for biking, they get donated space, like a vacant big box store or warehouse, and that'll be their headquarters for the winter. And so this is the month that you can give those bikes, turn those bikes in. So the bikes that your kids have grown out of in your garage, or you got a fancy new bike and your old bike you don't see using, drop it off for free bikes for kids, and we'll get into the pipeline, keep it out of the landfill and even out of the recycling bin, and get it to someone who needs a bike. The headquarters for turning in donated bikes in Fitchburg is Race Day Events. Their new building is on Sub-Zero Parkway off Seminole Highway, right next to the Badger State Trail. And you can get the details on when and how to turn in those bikes on the aforementioned webpage.
Yeah, they're collecting next week, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., Monday through Friday. You get a free bottle of water and a hot house beer with your donation. So
right,
just saying, they're making it worth your while to drop off.
Yep.
And I should note, we had them on the show, the organization. When we say any bike, I mean, the parts that they can get off of bikes to use for others is amazing. Mm-hmm. So, you know, get the bikes.
You got a bike with a cracked frame,
mm-hmm.
or you know, you ran into a curb and you've got a bent wheel, they'll take the other wheel. So take your junk bikes over there. They'll cannibalize them for parts. Hop House is a new Fitchburg business right next to Race Day Events, also opening this month, and look forward to that being a great destination for biking and eating.
Yeah, right close to the trail there, so it makes it really easy to get access to that business. So,
and they have terrific bike racks for you to securely lock up your bike while you eat.
Fantastic. All right, let's talk about your event coming up.
The last event I want to highlight is the annual Pick Me Up at the Border ride. This has an interesting origin. It was originally a guerrilla event held under the radar to protest the fact that state trails were closed, like state parks, from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. So it left the Capitol at midnight and went to the border and back. Since that rule has been changed, thanks to an act of the legislature, state trails are now open 24 hours a day because it's recognized that they're critical for transportation as well as recreation. And you know, we don't close the highways to cars in the evening. So the ride has morphed. We left the last 2 years from Fitchburg, and we'll be continuing again this year, but this year it will be from a new starting point. We will leave from the aforementioned Race Day Events just off Seminole Highway on Sub-Zero Parkway on this Friday. My goodness, that's tomorrow at 7 p.m. The ride is a fundraiser for Bike Fitchburg. It's where we get most of our money that we do for our advocacy, need for our advocacy. And so there's online contactless registration. And it's one of the few bicycling events that is actually going on as scheduled. We are requiring everybody to wear a helmet as usual, and this year a mask at the start. Now, since there are turnaround points at Monticello and Belleville, I believe, and the state line, and people ride at different speeds. Once we leave, you know, people will be in small groups, and so social distancing should not be a problem. It should be a safe ride, both COVID-wise. The trail has been scouted, unfortunately, before the rain we just got, but we do expect the trail to be in good shape. There will be a slight detour around the closed Stewart Tunnel because the tunnel needs some sealing repairs to make it safe. And so the tunnel has been closed by the DNR, but we will still go south, and it is a night ride, so people should charge up their lights, bring spare batteries, and make sure that you can be safe on the trail. I would recommend, if you have a gravel bike or a hybrid, that might be a better choice than your aerodynamic road bike on the trail, because once we leave Fitchburg, we will be on the limestone.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that is a fun ride. How long, Steve, does it take to go all the way down to the Illinois border and back to Fitchburg?
Well, of course, it depends on how fast you ride. But from our race day event starting point, it is an 80-mile ride. So if you do 15 miles an hour, you'll be in under 6 hours. Some crazy people will ride the ride at 20 miles an hour. They'll be back sooner. And some will turn around sooner and be back sooner. But you might want to take a nap too.
Oh, yeah.
To prepare for this ride.
Exactly. That sounds. I think I'd be the first one to turn around and say, "I'll just meet you back at the truck or the vehicle."
Yep.
Steve, thank you so much for checking in with us and talking about all the great events. Certainly, if people want to learn more again about Bike Fitchburg and all the great things that your organization is doing, how can they do that?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Our website is bikefitchburg.org, which we use to provide more long-term stable information. And you can, we ask you to like our Facebook page, Bike Fitchburg, and to join our Facebook group, Bike Fitchburg Forum on Facebook. And that, that's where you'll get the tree down today on the Cap City Trail, the timely information that changes a lot more quickly.
Yeah, no, it's a great website and Facebook page. So make sure you do get out there and check that out. Steve, thank you again so much. Stay safe out there, and please come back to the show real soon.
Yep, my pleasure. And thanks for your support of biking in Fitchburg.
Absolutely. That Steve Arnold, again, from Bike Fitchburg. Check out their website and join in on their fundraiser coming up tomorrow night, kicking off at 7. We'll take a quick break, wrap up the show next. You are watching Talking Fitchburg.
You could be spreading the coronavirus without realizing you have it. So follow guidance from authorities where you live and do your part. It's important to limit in-person interaction with anyone outside of your immediate household, but phone and video chat are safe ways to connect. It's also important to limit any social gathering. This advice applies to people of any age, including teens and younger adults. Visit coronavirus.gov for the latest information.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Wrapping up the show for today, I want to thank our guest Steve Arnold for coming on and sharing all the great information about biking right here in Fitchburg and the great events coming up. Make sure you get involved in one of those events. Get out and enjoy that nice weather before it goes away and we start seeing that fluffy stuff. Just saying. All right, stay connected with Fact TV, Facebook, YouTube. We're everywhere, folks. Tune in. Have a great day, everybody. Let's hope it'll be dry tomorrow.
Thank you.